All right, good morning, everyone, and welcome to another day of the Design Nuances Edu series. The Design and Nuances Edu series is a platform for you to learn the nuances of a new topic specific to design, architecture, or fashion. Get introduced to a new school and understand their purpose and why they exist, and interact with an expert and absorb the knowledge that they have to share with you. This is a guideline for the protocol in terms of timing. There will be a 15-minute slot about the school so that you can find out a little more about the school that they're representing. There'll be about 40 minutes talk about the topic, and then you will also have time for Q&A, and that depends on the faculty who are taking the session, if they'd like the Q&A to go along with the webinar. For all the participants who are here, kindly keep your microphone on mute. You can ask your questions and comments in the chat, and you can switch your webcams on. That'll be great. It helps the faculty make eye contact with you. But if you want to ask a question, you're more than welcome to ask a question as well. Just make sure you raise your hand and you will be given a chance to ask your question. Today's session is by Atria University, and the topic is hybrid models of fabrication. And you may be thinking, what is the link between fabrication and design, right? They sound like two interesting things, but let's see what the faculty have to say about that. We have Ashwini Pagad, who is the manager of outreach and admissions at Atria University, and she's going to be talking a little bit about the university as well. And we have Mr. Sudeb Roy, who is the academic manager at Atria University. A little introduction to them. Sudeb started his career in the automotive sector in research and development at Mahindra and Mahindra. He's an automotive designer trained in Italy and has worked in India. He's an assistant professor in the product and industrial design department at ISDI Mumbai prior to being at Atria University. And now he works the laboratory spaces and anchors the design vertical at Atria. As far as Ashwini is concerned, she's a career counselor in an animation institute. She started that way and then worked her way up to Jain University and has been there for over 7 years as a corporate relations manager. She freelanced as a digital painting professional and figured that she's got some management skills that she'd like to explore as well. And really, she handles the entire academic aspects when it comes to, or the admissions aspects when it comes to Atria University. But in her pastime, she loves reading books and is a big fan of Sudha Murthy's books as well. For those of you who are interested in applying to Atria University, y'all can click on this link. If it's and you'll reach the DQ Edge page of Atria University. And to apply to the university, for all those who are in 2022 looking for applications that schools to apply to, I think Atria University has a very, very interesting program that blends really technology and design. And the university has a very versatile program, and I think it's interesting for you guys to explore. So the links will be shared with you both on the Zoom chat and the YouTube live chat as well. Now let's get back to the webinar. And Ashwini, good morning. How are you guys doing?
Hi, Dion. Just give me 2 minutes.
Sure. Is Sudeb there as well?
Yeah, that's what I'm checking. I'll.
All right.
Yeah, sure.
Sure. So till they get ready, what I'm going to do is I'm going to sign in, and just to show you the the programs that Atria University has. So this is this is their listing on DQ Edge. So if you go on to exploring colleges in DQ Edge, you will get this link. But interestingly, you know, Atria University is, it really blends technology. And what I like about it is that it's a new university, but they blend technology as well as design. So that's why you can choose your subjects from science, technology, art, communication, and humanities, right? So it's a very interesting, uh, methodology that they have. And all this information is available to you on DQ Edge. You can find out a little more about the internships, placements, and information regarding this, right? Ashwini, you can let me know whenever you're
Yes,
ready.
Sudeb is actually joining. Even he has a little internet issues, I suppose.
Okay.
Give us 2 minutes. He will
Would
be.
you like to speak about the school initially, or would you be
Sure.
taking the topic?
Yes, yes. No, I will be speaking about the school if that's okay. So they will be here and he'll start talking about the topic that we are.
Fantastic. Then I think you can start off and let him join in whenever he can. All right.
Sure, sure.
So I'm going to allow you to share your screen.
Oh, so they was here already. So.
Okay.
Hi, Sudeb. Good morning. Hi. So do you want me to share the PPT or we will just have a conversation? That would be a better scenario, right?
Conversation's also all right, but we can just have a brief, like 2 minutes or 3 minutes or so on Atria University and what we're doing. Then
Yes.
we can go ahead.
Yes. Just give me a minute. I'll share the screen with PPT.
Hi, Sudeb. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you. How are you guys doing?
All good, all good. Looking forward to what you guys have to share about the hybrid models of fabrication. Very interesting topic.
Yeah. Because I chose this topic because I considered myself a bit of a machinist before, in the sense I would be happy around mechanical tools, working with drills, vertical drill press, lathes, various tools. And then I got into 3D printing. And then I realized IoT is also playing a part in this sector. And in India, mostly, we see ourselves um, as hybrid machinists, in the sense none of us stick to only one type of tool, or none of us stick to only one way of producing a product or a prototype. We use various methods together. So
Absolutely. Sure, and we'd really like to know how fabrication is linked with design, right?
yes, absolutely.
All right. So you guys can go ahead and take it from here, and then we'll
Sure. So before Sudeb starts talking to you guys about the hybrid, the fabrication and everything, just a brief understanding about what Atria University is all about. So we are a liberal science university.
Ashwini, before you start, could you switch your webcam on, please?
My internet is really lagging. If I switch on the camera, then I won't be able to share the screen or do anything. That's why.
Perfect. That's all right. Yeah.
Yeah. So as I was saying, we are a liberal science university, and we tend towards more of STEM courses, that is technology. And that is where, in the design factor as well, this is where we come and teach you guys not just the designing part of the knowledge, but the technology that is behind that designing part, right? So these are the kind of combinations that we have here in Atria. So we do teach you BDS as one of the course here, that is Bachelor in Design, that you can see. Then we have 5 different majors that we teach you guys. We have digital transformation, we have energy science, we have interactive technology, we have life science and mobility. So you can pick bachelor in design and combine your degree with any of these 5 majors, right? First year, you learn about all the degrees and all the majors in basics. You understand where your interest lies in. And while moving to your second year, you make a decision of what combination of degree and major you take, and then you move ahead. So let's take it from here. Sudeb, if you can help the students understand how is this going to work?
Yes, absolutely. I'll just talk about how we're doing the BDS program here in relation to each one of our majors. And then if students have questions, let's look at it like this. Not if you have questions, please question whatever's happening, whatever you're seeing. So BDES in digital transformation, a BDES with energy science, or a BDES with interactive tech or life science or mobility. Our BDS program is structured in a very integrative manner, in the sense, in the first year, you'll be with the rest of your counterparts who may want to take a BTech degree or may want to take a BBA or whatever it is, and different majors. Everybody's combined in the first year, so they get to experience every project possible, everything. And as you move into the second year, you make the choice of a BBA or a BDES or a BTech, BSc, whatever. So once you've taken a BDES, let's say, choice, your quarters instantly align towards integrative design. As in, you'll be learning everything from interactive tech, typography, digital prototyping, physical prototyping, all of these various aspects that make a holistic designer, make it a well-rounded designer. So that goes on for your entire second year and halfway through your third year, and then you switch over to your major. So in the middle of your third year, you can switch over. You can make the decision to go and be a BDES with a major in mobility. Then all your courses get aligned in that direction. So you'll get to learn about designing the interior of a car, the exterior, how a person fits inside a vehicle or on a vehicle, etc. So on and so forth. So some lovely questions that had come across last time, and what Ashwini and I have seen quite often when students and their parents come over to Atria University is they ask us about game design and game development. So if a student is interested in game design, what should they pick? Do they have a choice to pick anything? Or if they're interested in game development, where do they go? And we answer them with the way we have structured our courses. So if a student is interested in game development, they typically put themselves into a BTech of interactive technology, because they have to learn a lot of programming, a lot of coding, and how that coding works with design. And if you pick game design, if you want to do game design in the future, then you should 100% pick a BDES with a major in interactive technology, because interactive technologies, let's say highest level, the highest strata is game design, because of the level of interaction that a person has with a computer, and a level of interaction the person would have with their phone and other people on the other side of the phone or the device. Does anybody have any questions so far on design or how we do things at Atria? And I would like everybody to switch on their cameras, please. It's a Sunday. All of us are here. I teach as well as I manage. Ashwini is here. She manages a lot of things with admissions and communications, and we're all here. So I would urge parents and students to, let's say, switch on the cameras. That would be good.
As long as you guys are comfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I know my internet is not really in a great shape to switch on my camera, but if you guys can, then it would be really nice. Okay, never mind. Sudeb, let's move forward. I think
Yeah,
everyone.
I think yeah. So just before that, I mean, I think the streams that you'll offer are interesting, um, in terms of all of these factors, and the ability really for a student to change course during
Yeah.
their career, during the studies. So at what stage can they really decide, oh, maybe, I'm more oriented towards the technical aspects than the design aspect? At what stage does that work?
Okay.
Or can they change their minds?
Okay. So a student can change their mind at any point, in fact, at any point. But the thing is, wherever they want to jump over to, wherever they want to shift over to, they have to have the prerequisites for that course. So let's say a student is doing a BTech in digital transformation, and suddenly decides that they in somewhere in their second year, and suddenly decides they want to switch over to um a B design with a major in digital transformation. At that point, they will have to do the prerequisites that are needed for a designer. Let's say somebody's been learning MySQL and C++ for about a year and a half or so, and they decide they want to go over to design. That means they'll still have to learn about semantics and color, the fundamentals of design, typography, these sort of subjects. So those are absolute requirements for a student to go over. So if a student wants to take a B design, they should be able to make that decision at the end of their 12 months with us, the first 12 months, because the first 12 months are common for everybody, not only BTech, BSc, but everyone is combined. So during that time, they have a very good course in design thinking as well. So that opens up students to the way, let's say, a designer's mind should be working, or or how to think like a designer.
All right. So the way I understand it, these are your 5 pillars, and you can approach these pillars from different angles. You can approach digital transformation from a technical aspect, or from a design aspect, or XYZ aspects that you all offer. So that's what I get from this, right?
Yes, not just that, but then when the students are learning, say, designing, they will not just be taught about designing aspects, but they will also have the knowledge of the technical part of it, because we want the students to have multiple skill sets. It shouldn't be something like a student is learning designing but has no absolute knowledge about the technical part. Uh, at the end of the day, it all goes hand in hand, and we would want them to have an understanding about the technical knowledge so that they can work on the designs better. So they correct me if I'm wrong.
No, no. And to add to it, let's say you want a job at Microsoft or Google or any one of these brands. They actively seek out people. They might not seek out people from premier institutes, but they will seek out people who have the skill set. So if somebody wants to pick up a senior designer at Microsoft, or wants to pick up for Microsoft, they will 100% look for your skills in HTML and CSS. And unless you have learned it somewhere in your life, you will not make it there. So if you're taking up interactive tech, BDS, we'll make sure that you have this skill set with you, so that you get picked up by these organizations. So it's not that just because it's design, you won't have any element relating to the technical side. You'll 100% have it, and have it based on what we see is the market requirement. Let's say tomorrow there is a new software that does not require programming at all. Then we might delete programming or might delete coding and give you something more in terms of design.
Cool. Got that. All right. So very interesting format, and a very unique format for a university. I've not seen this with any of the other schools before. So glad that you all are bringing this in. It's a very refreshing way. Let's get into the topic, Sudeb. You all can take it out from here. Yeah.
So, I mean, excuse me if the screen remains the same, but I would just like to talk to the students and parents and who has joined us today. I'll talk a little bit about my journey, and then we can take over on the topic itself. So, I started my career. I started my, let's say, education as an engineer, as an automobile engineer. And for 4 years straight, I was learning everything from petrol engines and diesel engines, and how to fabricate things using something called subtractive manufacturing, as in you start with a large stock, or you start with one material and you start cutting down from that, and you end up with the part that you actually wanted. So that was the beginning of my career, and at that point, of I had never heard of 3D printing. Let's say I did my engineering between 2000 and 2011, so 3D printing wasn't much of a thing that we knew. But my seniors in the university, they had the benefit of using 3D printing because they were into a racing program. It was called SAE Baha, wherein they develop a race car for off-road purposes, and they compete with different universities all over the country. So that was the first time I got to know a little bit about it. I joined Mahindra and worked in Mahindra's R&D team for a while, and then switched over for my master's. So when I went over for my master's, I realized there are so many complicated shapes, there are so many complicated forms that we as humans can dream up, that at that point I didn't know we had the technology to create. In the sense, using subtractive manufacturing, using a lathe, using a drill press, or different kinds of surfacing methods, I didn't know if we could even create any of those forms, those super complex forms. And I mean, I didn't know how to do it at that point. But somewhere in my master's, somewhere towards the end of my master's, we were told to go crazy. We were told to dream up whatever we can dream up, as crazy as can be, as far as we can dream up. And we started to create forms with clay modeling, that was like with our own hands and not with a computer. We were doing clay modeling on a small scale. So the car as such, or the object, was a meter in length, was about 400 millimeters in width, because it was in scale. Like it was in 1:4 scale. So it was like 450, or around half a meter in width, because the actual car was supposed to be 2 meters in width, about 4.4 meters or so in length. And the wheels were super, super complex. And there was no way in hell we could have done it on, using the uh, traditional fabrication methods. So we picked up 3D printing at that point. So we would sit on the computer, do CAD modeling, something called CAID, that is computer aided industrial design. We would work with CAID, work in a software called Autodesk Alias Studio, and we would create these crazy forms. In fact, I'll try and bring up an image of my final year project that's in 2014. I'll just show you a glimpse of that, and then continue the conversation from there.
Should I stop sharing the screen?
Yeah, just give me a minute. I'll pull up the image.
Sure. So in the meantime, when Sudeb is picking up the image, just want to give you an example about how design students can fit into, different kind of places. Like I had a few students from my ex-company where the students were picked up by a company called Schneider. I'm not sure if you guys have heard about Schneider. Majorly, if you see the elevators, they're all from Schneider company. So Schneider is a company where they produce bigger machineries. Now, we might not traditionally think that a company which produces bigger machineries can hire designers. Yes, they did. Now, what was their requirement was, before these machineries are assembled, They wanted the students to, come up with designs, or as Sudeb was explaining it, in 3D models. So even before that gets into a 3D model, there needs to be a designer who can prepare those, bigger machineries in the softwares. So that's how the design students were picked, where they used to create these machineries in the softwares, and then do a 3D model out of it, assemble the 3D model first, see if the mechanism and everything goes well, and then move forward to the actual thing. So this is the kind of market do we have right now. There are a lot of different kind of companies, different genres of companies where designers are actually hired. It is not just, say, graphic designers or animators, or architects, or all these kind of things. So we can't even think about where all the designing is being used. All these machineries nowadays, which robots, which are used for, operating on humans, the AI robots, all those are also done by the designers first. So all these kind of things is what Atria will be helping you to understand. Sudeb, do you want me to stop sharing?
Yeah, please. I'll just share my screen.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. So is my screen visible to everyone?
Yes, yes.
All right. So if you guys can see, this entire model was made in clay modeling. It was used, we used clay. We shaped each and every part of this object, of this car. It was supposed to be a one-seater / two-seater for people in Italy who would like to take their pets along with them everywhere. So that's why there's a little gap here, so their dog can jump in and out, and we can strap, let's say, use the leash and put it around that panel. And if you can observe the wheels are clearly visible to you. This was purely 3D printing. It was made in 3 parts. It was super complicated. We made it using 3D printing. Once it was done, each part was very, very fine, was very, very thin, and required a lot of finesse in order to make it smooth. See, once a part is completed, once a part is created in 3D printing, you can't straight away go for painting, or you can't paint over it straight away. You need to prime the object. You need to prime the part. So I spent my time smoothing off each and every part, then applying a layer of primer to it, then applying paint to it, then assembling all of it to make it look like a wheel. So why I'm even explaining this is because of the topic today. If I as a designer think that I'll make some crazy amazing shape, I'll just put it on the 3D printer and in one snap the part is ready. That's not true. That's not reality. As a human, you still need to do a little bit of work. At least that's where we are right now. Maybe 2-3 years down the line, or 5 years down the line, once you guys as designers, or once your kids as designers go into the field, they'll have the option of dreaming up anything they want and creating an object just like this, or even more complicated. This is a helmet that I was designing a while back. It was supposed to be for a mountain biker, and the concept is just that it's supposed to have multiple holes through the helmet so that air flows and the person can sweat easily and get that sweat evaporate off the person. And let's say mountain bikers often go into very dirty environments. Let's say you go into mud, you go into mud, you go into dust. So all of that gets on top of you. So it should have enough gaps in it so that you can wash yourself off. So this was one of those designs. Again, if I was to produce this, I would 100% have to go with first 3D printing, and then a lot of hand sanding, let's say adhesives to put all of this together, There is a foam layer, if you can see in dark gray. There is a foam layer inside of it. I'll just present another little image. So this is a helmet inspired by Star Wars or Clone Wars. And it's again for mountain bikers completely. So you see a little area on the side where you can hook on a strap around your chin, and you have enough of a chin protection here, so that even if you fall over, bounce over something, you get your chin protected. And you can use the same area to lock on a 360-degree camera or a GoPro or something like that, so that you can take in the same vision or the same views that you are getting to see, so you can record all of it there. Again, this would be done using a hybrid model of fabrication. You can't produce this completely on one machine. You would require a machine, a little bit of intense labor from a human, and then put it together. So, Ashwini, you can share your screen again. I'll just stop presenting mine.
Sure. I will share the screen. Before that, if you can explain what are the different, say, kind of companies or different kind of designing where such kind of a hybrid fabrication is needed?
Yes, absolutely,
yes.
absolutely.
Yes.
So, in terms of hybrid design, if you're a true design thinker, then you should be able to produce something on the computer. You should be able to replicate that same thing of a computer or an iPad or one of these Microsoft Surface tablets, reproduce that in physical, in reality. Once you produce that, then you'll realize, okay, now I have printed this object, or I have physically produced this object. Now to take it to a finished form, or to take it to a place where it can be presented as a prototype to your team or to your superiors, a lot of work needs to go into it. So that's where it's a hybrid model of fabrication. As in, you've used a 3D printer now, you've used, let's say, 3D metal printing also. Post that, you've got to put it under, let's say, under a sandblaster or inside a sandblaster, wherein the sandblasting method chips away all these excess little granules on the object, and then it becomes a smooth object. After it's smoothened and primed, I mean, you apply a primer to it, smoothen that, then apply paint to it, smoothen that. So we're talking here in terms of not only millimeters of perfection, we're talking about micrometers of perfection. If you've ever used sandpaper in your lives, you'll realize, or maybe you've seen sandpaper in regular activities as well. You would have seen it at your home when the carpenter comes home and he's polishing a piece of wood or a piece of furniture or hinges or something like that. They use a certain quality of sandpaper. But then the second you go into, let's say, the automotive side where I used to work, there you're going from that same 80, let's say, the grades are 80 grit of sandpaper. That's the first level. Then you go off into 150, 200, 250, 300, 500, 600, all the way to 1000, 2000. At 2000 grit, after you polish something with water, as in you, let's say you do a water sanding. After you do a wet sanding, you have surface quality such that you can see your own reflection in that object. Once you reach that level of fabrication, that level of finesse, then your object is ready to be presented. Up till that point, you're doing a very, I wouldn't say a shoddy job, but low on quality. That quality needs to reflect in your work. So the car that I showed you, that's work that I've done as a 22-year-old or as a 23-year-old, I can't present that same work if I was to present now, because sorry, I wouldn't be proud of it now. Ashwini, can you just give me a second now?
Sure, sure. So if you guys heard Sudeb right, it's not just about learning how to design. He could explain you what happens in different, different part of the departments. Like he is designing, then how is it going to go towards getting it into a 3D printer, and then moves to the removal of all the small specks and things like that. So this is what we are here in Atria trying to do: teach you all aspects of it, teach you all the aspects from the designing factors to have an understanding about what the other departments do, so that your output of work is going to be really good. Like, for example, you are designing for an example, a equipment, and then you need to have a knowledge about how much money is going to be put in that, what kind of material would give you a better sustainability of that specific product, as well as have a understanding about which material would be the one which would cost you the least, yet give you a better output, for that product. So these are the combined things that we are getting for you guys, so that you are equipped with all kind of knowledge for a company to have a benefit at the end of the day with a better output of a product. Right, Sudeb?
Yeah, Ashwini, in fact, I just remembered that I should be talking about what we're doing inside Atria as well, because I mentor a couple of students who are interested in racing, who are interested in Baha, mobility, all of these things. And, the first step that I wanted to teach those students was how to design on CAD. So they're CAD modeling, they've started CAD modeling right now. And this is their first year in university. No other first year will give you CAD modeling in the first year. They'll 100% make you do engineering drawing and then go on to CAD modeling. But I knew that since I've experienced all of this, what I need to get the students, what Atria University needs to get the students, is for them to understand the 3D, let's say, to have spatial thinking and to convert that spatial thinking into physical objects. So they're learning how to do CAD, and immediately after, they'll start learning how to do TIG welding. So welding in all other engineering colleges, I can guarantee it because I've been through it and I've been through various engineering programs. Welding taught to students in their first year is only, let's say, arc welding or stick welding. That's probably the lowest form of welding. Now, the moment you switch up from that, the moment you go into high precision devices or high precision machinery, you have to work with TIG welding and MIG welding. And that our students in the first year are getting to learn. So they'll be learning, they'll be able to weld or produce parts in everything from titanium to stainless steel to aluminum and aluminum alloys, which I can guarantee there are a lot of students, even after their fourth year, who have no idea about. And these students will get to learn all about it, get to practice it every day, get to produce parts or get to produce objects like their own bicycles or their own car frame or motorcycle frame, whatever they want. They're getting to learn this right in their first year. So this is completely hybridized model of fabrication, where we could have done everything on, let's say, one CNC machine, or just with a fabricator, or just with a machinist, but we are combining all of it to have this hybrid model wherein a student gets to learn, gets to do welding, machining using a lathe, vertical drill presses, surfacing tools, sanding devices, sanding tools, all of that, and then using 3D printing as well. So it's a combination of all these three that students will get to use. And I love to practice this on a daily basis because it gets to jog every part of a person's mind, not just physically creating something or dreaming it up, but making sure it can be dreamt up and making sure it can be produced. So this entire workflow is combined. Ashwini, would you like to continue? I mean, we could move on to different aspects of Atria. We could talk about studios as well to the students.
Dion, yes.
Yeah, I'm sorry. You know what? I just thought it's interesting what you're saying, because what you're saying is designing is yeah, it's all good when it happens, but actually translating the design into a practical situation is a very critical aspect. And just like, maybe if I could share my screen and um, show one of the projects that I was handling. So when I was with Mahindra, we had to transition from this logo to the new logo, right? And what happened is we actually needed to go through the challenge was at the manufacturing process. So these were the pictures that we actually went, and the mistakes that happened to get the ultimate final logo. And then we had to make a lot of mistakes, burn our fingers in various ways to get the manufacturing process right and the fabrication process right. And we ultimately got these images, I mean, these physical models created, because we wanted the sharpness of the output, which we were struggling to get through all the tests. And these tests went on for months, you know. And it's really interesting, because I think that was a real situation that we faced at a company, and it had to deal with our branding, our entire branding experience. And it was critical to get that correct, right? So absolutely interesting what y'all are saying. I just thought I'll share that.
Dion, when were you doing this for Mahindra?
2012.
I wish you had done this earlier, because you would have made my life easier. At that same time, I was working in Mahindra, 2011 and 12.
Yeah.
And I was working on the Xylo platform.
Right.
And as part of the Xylo platform, I was designing a armrest
Okay.
in the back of the car. I mean, in the second row and third row, that would fold out into a laptop table. Because that time Land Rover had come out with it, and I said, why can't we do a low cost version? I'm sure we can manage it. It'll be easy to do. So that logo, that all roads leading to the future that Mahindra had, it was so incredibly difficult to, let's say, to take the outlines of that logo and extrude it in 3 dimensions on UGNX or on CATIA, and make sure that the radiuses are matching correctly, make sure the curves are matching correctly, the ellipse is proper. And it was a nightmare. Had I known that you were doing the logo on your side, it would have been way smarter to go with that. So it's great to know that you're also working for Mahindra at the time.
Absolutely. And it's interesting to note that you speak of design with respect to manufacture, or the relationship between manufacturing and design. Okay. And I'm speaking of the same design with respect to branding and manufacturing, right? Because the ultimate logo and how it appears for us was important from a showroom and a branding perspective, because I was in the marketing department and you were in the manufacturing area and the designing area. So it's very interesting to note. And I really think that that's really the essence what you all are trying to do, isn't it? I mean,
Yes.
through this interoperability, right? So that's a very interesting aspect here.
Yeah, and at that time, I think if Mr. Rajesh Jejurikar would have seen what we were doing, I think he would have been slightly pleased.
Yeah. Yep.
So as I was saying, this is one of the factors that we want to, inculcate in the students, that designing is not just for one part of, the scenario. As you guys are talking, it is also used in marketing, on the heavy machineries, or be it in the medical field, wherever is needed. Designing is an essential part of everything that we do on a daily basis. A simple of a pen is probably designed before it is manufactured, and simplest of, say, things, or the most important things like a helmet, that has to be designed. And when it has to be designed, there are a lot of scenarios that are supposed to be kept in mind. Like, so they've said that there were a lot of holes in a helmet which helped a biker to breathe properly, or air it out, all the tiredness or the sweat and everything. So these are the kind of things that we are trying to inculcate in you. It's not just designing, but you will be learning things, what kind of a design is needed for what kind of department, how that specific design can change the entire scenario of the product, and till the end of the product, what and how it's going to be, and how you can be useful as a designer to make that product consistent, less cost, and as well as in a better material.
One of the examples that I was giving was the helmet, and Ashwini's talked about it. Initially, when I started designing it, I thought I'll just recreate a helmet that I've seen for motorcycles. I will recreate it for mountain bikers and see how it plays out. Then I realized there were so many factors that not only the Indian government, but motorsports authorities across the world, they specify, as in there has to be a certain amount of distance between the skull and the outer shell. Once impacted, the shell should deform only to a certain level, not beyond a certain level. Just a second.
I'm sure the helmet was not supposed to be something that can break out, because obviously it has holes, and if there is an impact and it breaks, then the purpose of the helmet is not serving. So what kind of a deformation that helmet can take, until what impact can it take? So all these kind of things will be you will have to learn through design thinking, the materials that are used in these, because at the end of the day, you'll not just be a designer, you will have to understand about the end factor. As Sudeb said, I look into the communication part here in Atria. So when I design physical outreach collaterals, I also think about the factor key on which material is this design going to look better. And then I go for the colors, and then I go for the designs, and how is it going to get wrapped and things like that. So when we are designers, we will also have to think about the fact how the end product is going to be. Right, Sudeb?
Yeah, interestingly, like Dion was part of the rebranding exercise that Mahindra was working on at that time. I was given a project a while back for the iSure logo. So in 2015 or 2016, actually, 2015 or 2016, the iSure logo was pretty much set, but iSure was going into a small step in their rebranding phase. And as a result, they wanted a three-dimensional logo. They wanted a logo that would fit on the front of their trucks, on the back of their trucks, on the front and back of their buses. So what I did was I took the iSure outline. I took the outline and gave it a curved dynamic surface, and then made sure it cut. Each one of the letters was cut into that. So The end result was a fully three-dimensional logo that if you were even walking by the bus or the truck, almost every element of the Aisha logo would shine at one point or the other. So it catches attention. So like Ashwini was saying, the material has to be thought of multiple times. It's not that you just dream up something and it comes out exactly the way you dreamt of it. There are certain manufacturing constraints. There are certain, engineers go to whatever extent they can to make sure that the designer's vision is practical and can see the light of day. They try, but sometimes there are constraints wherein the technology hasn't caught up to the designer's vision, and in that case the end product might not look like the vision. So the vision might have to, let's say, compromise a little bit. The engineering side will compromise a little bit. They'll come together and produce what is most like the vision of everyone together. So that's what a hybrid model would be going forward. There are 3D printers, or there are CNC mills where a lot of the process is robotized, as in the part is produced, it comes off a conveyor belt and is collected in a certain holding area. They already exist. They've been existing for a while. But now the smart factor which is coming in is that the robots on the production line are able to place the initial stock or the feed stock into the CNC mill or computer numeric controlled machine, are able to place it inside the machine, get it machined, and take it out as well. So the human does not interact here. The human would interact more towards the finishing side, not only the manufacturing side, but more towards the finishing side. So as we start using IoT or the Internet of Things more and more, all the devices within the factory floor or let's say the prototyping lab will be more connected, will start speaking to each other more. And the human's requirement, or the human's, let's say, new opportunity would be how to make this even better. Not think about the drudgery involved, but go more towards finesse, go more towards the finer things, finer details, finer aspects. You can change the textures, you can create crazy textures, materials, play within the material, how the material is finished, and get let's say surface finishes or get outputs that people haven't dreamt of even today, that might be seeing as a vision sometime in the future, and we'll see as a result of your ability to work with, or our ability to work with machines as well as humans.
Guys, I think we have spoken as much about Atria and all kind of designing factors or designs that are used in different industries. We would want to know if you guys have any questions for us. You can type it in the chat box or unmute yourself and ask the questions. Okay, could the PPT be shared? If you can be specific which PPT you want me to share, the one which is shared on the screen right now? Both. Okay.
So Ashwini, what we can do is maybe if you have something to share, we could post it on the group where all these students are.
Sure. Right? So what I would be doing here is I will take out all the information that is required for, say, the BDS course that we are providing. I will create it into a proper PDF and I'll share it with you, and then you can share it with the students.
Absolutely. And even with regard to the topic, if you can give us a format, I think Swati has shared a format with you.
Yes.
That PPT would be great so that it is cohesive.
Definitely. So there is a question by Chetali here. It's she's asking what is the process of selection. So we have a 3-round admission process here in Atria. You write an application form with us. There are 2 different questions where we ask about your perspective and view, and one more question where you talk about your perspective and view on a certain topic. So if your application gets selected, you move towards something called Student Engagement and Interaction Day, where you will have a group discussion and a one-on-one interview. If you clear through all these 3 rounds, we go ahead and give you an offer letter. Now, we don't have a prerequisite as such. We the only requirement that we have is that you should be 12th, or you should have cleared your 12th. We don't have a cutoff. Our admission process entirely depends on how you perform on our 3 rounds. That is the application, the group discussion, and a one-on-one interview. So that's our admission process. Our applications are open right now. So the link that Dion had showed, if you can click on it, it will take you to the application, and then you can start with the application there.
Ashwini, initially I got a little excited by the question of what is the process of selection, because I was going to talk about what material and how you select a manufacturing method, but I'm glad you took that question.
Okay, number of intakes in a year. So we have a cut of say 150 to 180 students in a batch.
Yeah, and about the intake of a year, I would continue from where Ashwini said 150 to 180. In our selection for the first year, there is no set limit on how many students can take a certain subject. We have no limit on that. Depending on where the students tend to gravitate or which direction they tend to go, we make sure that we have enough faculty to take classes for those students. So we adjust according to what the student requires, not set like a bar that, okay, only 180 students have applied, hence only 20 can go into design. We don't have that. It's just dependent on the student and the student group.
I think that's an interesting question, the number of intakes in a year. So when you talk about, so since Ashwini mentioned 160 to 180 and you said there's no limit on it, so that's like a university perspective, right? So it's like saying XYZ University has a limit, maybe 600 students, 1,000 students, or 5,000 students, right? So it says that. But let's say in a classroom, right? Let's say there's the students from the first batch. So if you're saying, or second batch, there are 180 students there, and say there are 80 students that want to pursue design, right? So what's that going to be like? Is it going to be like all 80 in one class, or is it going to be distributed into multiple classes? How is that going to be?
So if it's let's say up to between, okay, I'll take the ranges. If the number of students in design goes from 25 to about 35, it stays as one batch. But the moment you switch over from 40 plus, we're going into 2 batches. And 2 batches would be only for the second year and half of the third year. Because at that half, or let's say quarter 10, around quarter 10, when, or let's say in year 3, in the middle of year 3, when the students decide to take their majors, let's say majoring in mobility, digital transformation, etc., we would look at the student population and then make sure that, let's say, not more than 20 students have one faculty assigned to them. So there have been several places where I have taught where we go into 45, 50 students per class in design, and we don't see that as ethically correct at Atria. We make sure we split the batches, and the students get the right number of faculty, right number of tools, right number of lab spaces or amount of lab space to themselves. We don't like to restrict them in any way.
So there is a next question that says, industry tie-up, if you can share, please. So, Sudeb, if you can, yes.
Yeah, so about industry tie-ups, we're working very closely with a lot of automotive brands and a lot of industrial design brands already. I would not like to share the names as of now, because this is our first batch, and we would make sure that the industry caters to our students, and we as a university cater to the university's, the industry's requirement. It's There are a lot of a lot of companies that have approached us even within the first year, but we know that our students are not going to gravitate in that direction, so we don't entertain those let's say conversations beyond a certain point.
So, as Dave says that, now let me give you an example why he's saying that, because I don't remember if we specified this. Our entire course is a project-based learning. So the students work on projects and then they learn through it. It's an hands-on job that the students will be learning through. So when we say project-based learning, these will not be just the projects that will be given by the internal faculty members. So there will be live projects that will come in from the industries. The students will learn from the experienced people from these companies. So these are some projects which they don't want the outside world yet to know. So we will not be able to give out the names what we are tied up with. And that is the reason why Sudeb said that. So we do have industry tie-ups, because those are the necessary part of our syllabus, and that's how the students are going to learn through, right? I do see one next question.
I would like to answer this question.
Yeah.
Yes, our selection process is only 3 steps, and we do not require a student to do seed in order to get in. And the key reasoning, I don't know the last time you've given seed, but I don't know what relation 50 questions, objective type questions have with, I don't know what relation that has with a student's ability to dream and to produce something. So we don't see that as a way to produce a good designer, or for a designer to create something great. In our first year, the student experiences various, let's say,
so we would want you to have a critical thinking mind. We would want you to have a creative thinking mind, how you can come up with your own ideas, how you can, put your ideas through, different scenarios and come up with, say, products. So we would want to know how you get adjusted with different things. And these are the kind of questions that we have on our application as well. Like one question I told you, the perspective and view. We are not telling you to just write positive perspective or views. We would want to know what are your views on that specific topic. We're not going to tell you to write just positive or negative for that matter of a fact. We would want you to understand how you can adjust with us. Even our group discussion and our one-on-one interview is to understand that what kind of thinking do you have, how you get adjusted with us, or we getting adjusted with you. Are you a right fit for Atria, or for that matter, is Atria also a right fit for you? These are the kind of things we are evaluating in these 3 steps, right, Sudeb?
Vritti, I'd like to answer that. If you go on to UGC's website, you'll see us listed there. So we are approved by UGC.
We are a UGC approved private state university. The private state university is being given to us by the Karnataka state government, and we are listed on the UGC, website. You can go through.
Yeah, and about the part that Ashwini said, see the process that a student takes up in order to answer a question is to us almost as important, if not more important, than the end result, because we at least know that the student is thinking, and it's not just a big essay that the student has produced or just tick marks that they remember that they have tick marks to questions they remember that they have done before. That's not how we do things here. In fact, to tell you the truth, even while selecting faculty or while selecting academic managers, I came in as an academic manager, and my selection process was not a regular interview and straight away I was in. I was made to answer three critical areas where Atria is looking to grow and looking to get itself deeper into. And I had to write, let's say, I think it was around 300-word answers for each one of them, each one of those questions. So it's the way we think, how we can process information, that is super important to us. Guys, any more questions?
All right, I guess pretty much all the questions are over, and we have the last couple of minutes in case someone who wants to ask a question, please ask right away. Let me just check YouTube and see if anyone's been asking questions there. No, that's it. That's about it, I guess. Right. So for those of you who are considering applying to Atria University in this academic year, please go ahead and fill this form here. Oh, there's another question that's come in.
So as Atria Group, we are a pretty old entity as such, where we have different other educational colleges, but Atria University is 2 years old. We started in 2020. We got our approvals in 2021, and we had our first batch last year. So we are, say, one batch old.
Yeah, but interestingly, when I was speaking with Shaheen, who's the CEO of the university, I mean, so he was telling me that how Atria as a technology provider. So what everyone's familiar here with is the ACT broadband service, right? So that's Atria Convergence Technologies.
Yes.
So they're a leader in technology, and they have a vision that technology or digital technology is going to take us ahead in future. So how do you blend technology and design is the fundamental thought process behind what they are. So
not just ACT, right? We are also we have this called Atria Powers, where we produce solar energy into electricity. How those panels are designed, or how solar power can be converted to electrical energy. So all these kind of different scenarios, we Atria as a group is very much into sustainability. So whatever we try to inculcate or try to get the products out, we make sure we are sustainable towards the environment a little bit, towards the society a little bit, and how we can improvise on that.
To give you an example of where we apply technology or how we are planning to push it, if you look at Atria Radisson Blue, if you've ever visited Radisson Blue in Bangalore, that's also part of that unit in of Radisson is owned and operated by the Atria group. If you look at that space, it has a number of solar panels on the roof, and not too many hotels allow or not too many hotels try to incorporate solar energy into their energy requirements. And we do that. I mean, our entire thinking is towards sustainability. So we do it in every way possible.
All right. I think that's about it. We are almost out of time. So Ashwini and Sudeb, thank you so much for taking the time out to come here and interact with our students and parents and answer the questions and talk about Atria very nicely. Okay. And of course, the topic, which was the core part of this conversation of combining fabrication and design, was very interesting as well. So thanks so much once again, and looking forward to interacting with you guys again in future.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Take
Bye-bye.
care. Bye.
Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.